Hello, everyone. I'm Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Literary Love 123, where I read, analyze, and discuss horror through a literary lens. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my coping strategy as of late. The world is a freaking dumpster fire. My mental health is in the absolute gutter. So, what did I do? I bought some books. Let's talk about them. Before we get into the video, I just want to state that reading is an act of rebellion and resistance. So I did my part by buying some books. Here they are. First up, I have Mapping the Interior by Stephen Graham Jones. Let me give you the synopsis. Times have been tough for 12-year-old Junior, his mom, and especially for his younger brother, Dino. When his dad makes a surprise visit late one night, Junior is desperate to make him part of their family again. The only problem is Dad drowned 8 years ago, and bringing back the dad always comes at a cost. Stephen Graham Jones brings readers on a spine-tingling journey through a young boy's haunted home. I am excited about this one, and the cover is also stunning. I do have a hit and miss relationship with Stephen Graham Jones. I adore his Indian Lake trilogy. I loved The Clown Brigade. I loved Night of the Mannequins. I did not care for I Was a Teenage Slasher. And as much as I wanted to love The Only Good Indians, I could not finish it, even though I tried 5 times. That's how much I wanted to love it. But I am looking forward to Mapping the Interior. The next book I want to talk about is another little book, and that one is To Be Devoured by Sarah Tentlinger. Wait, this is just blurbs on the back. So let me get actually to the synopsis for To Be Devoured. But ooh, look at this. I love a good end page. Wait, that's the introduction. What is this synopsis? I am so prepared, so very prepared. Ooh, there's cocktail recipe in the back. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to read what the people on the back said. That's the best I know to do right now. This is a quote from Jonathan Jans. Ooh, he wrote one of my favorite novels of 2025, which is Veil. But anyway, Jonathan Jans says about To Be Devoured. How can a tale be brutal and tender, grotesque and beautiful, all at the same time? I don't know, but Sarah Tantlinger achieves it in To Be Devoured. Hypnotic, erotic, and gory. Yes, yes, and yes. I love it. This is a novella that will sear itself into your imagination. Highly recommended. It also has a blurb from one of my favorite authors, Gwendolyn Keist, and her blurb is Vulture's obsession and an unnatural hunger. What more can you want in a horror story? With To Be Devoured, Sarah Tantlinger has done it again as she ratchets up the terror in a wonderfully surprising way while crafting prose that's always a heady blend of the vicious and the vibrant. A book that's absolutely not to be missed. Okay, well, that's all I need to know, and I'm ready to go into it. All right, so the next book I have read before. I listened to the audiobook for We Used to Live Here, and this was one of my favorite books of 2024. I think it was 2024. But I'll go ahead and read the back to you since it has been a little while since I listened to it. As a young queer couple who flip houses, Charlie and Eve can't believe the killer deal they've just gotten on an old property in a picturesque neighborhood. While Eve works on the house one day, there's a knock on the door. A man stands there with his family, claiming to have lived here before and asking whether it would be all right if he showed his kids around. Hell no. I would have said that, and I did say that before I read the book. I say it after I read the book. People pleaser to a fault, Eve lets them in. As soon as the strangers enter their home, inexplicable things start to happen. The family's youngest child is missing, and a ghostly presence materializes in the basement. Even weirder, the family can't seem to take the hint that their visit should be over. And when Charlie suddenly vanishes, Eve slowly loses her grip on reality. Something is terribly wrong with the house and with the visiting family. Or is Eve just imagining things? This book was creepy. It was a mind trip. I freaking loved it. So I finally got my hands on a physical copy. The next book that I want to talk about is The Library at Hellebore by Cassandra Call. Again, a stunning cover, and look at the sprayed edges. So pretty. So I have loved what I've read from Cassandra Call. I loved The Salt Grows Heavy. I loved Nothing But Blackened Teeth. And I know a lot of people didn't love that. I thought it was amazing. And I just took my time getting through it. I stopped and looked up words that I did not already know what they meant. I researched into Japanese folklore so I could understand more of the story. And doing all of those things really helped me to enjoy Nothing But Blackened Teeth. So I'm really excited to get to the library at Hellebore. So let's talk about it. The Hellebore Technical Institute for the Gifted is the premier academy for the dangerously powerful, the Antichrist and death workers, the world eaters, and apocalypse makers. Hellebore promises redemption, acceptance, and a normal life after graduation. At least that's what Alessa Lee is told after she's kidnapped and forcibly enrolled. But the Institute is more than just a haven for monsters. On graduation day, the faculty embark on a ravenous rampage, feasting on their students. Trapped in the school's cavernous library, Alessa and her surviving classmates must do something they were never taught: work together. If they don't, this school will eat them alive, which just sounds so good. And pretty end pages for this one, too. So the next book I want to talk about is Sacrificial Animals, and this is by Kaylee Peterson. Another gorgeous cover. They are killing it with these covers. So let me tell you what Sacrificial Animals is about. The last thing Nick Morrow expected to receive was an invitation from his father to return home. When he left rural Nebraska behind, he believed he was leaving everything, including his abusive father, Carlisle, and the farm that loomed so large in memory, there forever. But neither Nick nor his brother Joshua, disowned for marrying Amelia, a woman of Asian descent, can ignore such a summons from their father, who hopes for a deathbed reconciliation. Predictably, Joshua and Carlisle quickly warm to each other while Nick and Amelia are left to their own devices. Nick puts the time to good use, and his flirtation with Amelia blooms into romance. Though not long after the affair turns intimate, Nick begins to suspect that Amelia's interest in him may have sinister and possibly even ancient motivations. Punctuated by scenes from Nick's adolescent years, when memories of a queer awakening and a shadowy presence stalking the farm altered the trajectory of his life forever, Sacrificial Animals explores the violent legacy of inherited trauma and the total collapse of a family in its wake. Okay, that sounds so good. Then I have Midnight Rooms by Danye Coles. So let's talk about Midnight Rooms. Another stunning cover. England, 1840. Orabella Mumthorpe spies an unexpected visitor in her uncle's parlor. Scruffy in appearance, yet claiming to be the scion, I hope I'm saying that right, of a fabulously wealthy family, Elias Elias Blackersby declares a deep desire to make Orabella his wife. The orphan daughter of a white man and a black woman, an outsider with no fortune or connections, Orabella never expected to marry. But her uncle has many debts, and Orabella, curious about the seeming devotion Elias bestows upon her, agrees. The new bride is quickly whisked away to Coring Hill Manor, the Blackersby family estate, or it might be Blakersby, and far from everything she knows. Expecting splendor, Orabella is shocked to find decay, skittish servants, and curt elders. Very gothic. But her kind new husband's loving touch, promises of a happy life together, and his assurances she'll never want for anything soothe her concerns. Yet there is a darkness deep within this house. Rooms are kept locked or hidden away, and the walls seem to thrum with secrets. Orabella can never venture outside unattended. She spends her days having tea with a catatonic sister-in-law and evenings at Elias's side, dutifully hosting lavish dinners. The darkness soon begins to engulf her, too. Becoming dizzy and drowsy after dinner, she falls into a fitful sleep filled with macabre dreams and is awakened by blood-curdling screams in the night. In the morning, she rises from her bed, covered in mysterious bruises. Confused and terrified, she begins to question where her dreams end and reality begins. The longer Orabella stays in this place, the more she loses parts of herself. How long until she no longer exists? This sounds so deliciously, gloriously gothic, and I cannot wait to read it. Now, the next book I've talked about before, I talked about it in my February TBR video and in a February, one of my weeks when I did a week wrap up in the month of February, I talked in depth about it. So I'm not going to go into it now, but I only had the audio book, and now I have the physical book for A Phoenix First Must Burn, which is edited by Patrice Caldwell. And this is 16 stories that explore the Black fantasy, or excuse me, the Black experience through fantasy, science fiction, and magic coming together in one stunning narrative of hope. And I talked in depth about how I'm going to be reading one story a week. I've already read the first 4 in February, so I'm going to be taking the rest of February to go further into the history and the mythology and the folklore behind those first 4 stories. And then heading into March, I will be doing one story a week. And during that week, after I read the story, I'll be looking into the sociocultural and historical and folkloric and mythological background of each story. So if you want to hear more about this book, you can watch my February TBR and a weekly wrap up from February, and I can link both of those down below. The last book I want to talk about, I bought for a buddy read that I'll be doing with Elaine from Cobalt Dragon, Gareth from Book Songs and Other Magic, and another person is joining us, and I'm so upset to say I don't remember the name of that person or if they have a YouTube channel. But once I find out, I will come back and link that other person down below too. But this book is Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. Yes, I don't own all the Stephen King books, and I haven't read Dr. Sleep. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, because I love The Shining. I liked Mike Flanagan's film adaptation of Dr. Sleep. Yeah, I did the, kind of a backwards way of seeing the movie before I read the book. But at any rate, I'm going to remedy this in March with that buddy read. So it is a sequel to The Shining. So let's talk about it. Years ago, the haunting of the Overlook Hotel nearly broke young Dan Torrance's sanity, as his paranormal gift, known as The Shining, opened a door straight into hell. And even though Dan is all grown up, the ghost of the Overlook and his father's legacy of alcoholism and violence kept him drifting aimlessly for most of his life. Now, Dan has finally found some order in the chaos by working in a local hospice, earning the nickname Dr. Sleep by secretly using his special abilities to comfort the dying and prepare them for the afterlife. But when he unexpectedly meets 12-year-old Abra Stone, who possesses an even more powerful manifestation of the Shining, the two find their lives in sudden jeopardy at the hands of the ageless and murderous nomadic tribe known as the True Knot, reigniting Dan's own demons and summoning him to battle for this young girl's soul and survival. So I am very much looking forward to getting back into the world of Danny Torrance and talking about this book with some friends. So that is it for this book haul. Let me know down in the comments what you're doing to cope with these times we find ourselves in. It doesn't just have to be things like buying books. Obviously, there are real emotional, mental, and physical needs that we need to attend to at this time. So let me know what you're doing. On a brighter note, I guess you could say, let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Let me know what book you have acquired recently or what book you've read recently that you are really enjoying. I would love to hear about them. So I want to say once again, thank you so much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you would hit like, hit subscribe, hit that bell so we can keep on lifting each other up in the dark times and talking about the books that we read. I hope you have a lovely morning, afternoon, night, wherever you may be. And I'll see you in the next video. So happy reading and bye.